Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a trip to Italy, not just for the pasta and gelato, but to unravel the mystery behind one of the most iconic and, let's be honest, perplexing structures in the world, the Leaning Tower of Pisa. We've all seen the photos, right? Tourists pretending to hold it up. But have you ever stopped to wonder, why it leans? Was it a bizarre architectural choice? A dare, perhaps? Well, the truth is far more interesting and involves a perfect storm of geology, medieval mishaps, and modern-day genius. Let's rewind the clock. The year is 1173 in the city of Pisa, Italy. Construction begins on a magnificent bell tower, or campanile for the city's cathedral. The plan was for a grand straight 8-story marble tower, but things started to go sideways, quite literally, almost immediately. By the time they finished the second story, just 5 years into the project, the tower had already begun to sink on one side. The construction was halted for nearly a century, not because of the lean, but due to military conflicts. But this break was actually a blessing in disguise. It allowed the soil underneath to settle and compress, which probably saved the tower from collapsing right then and there. So, what was the root cause of this architectural blunder? The main culprit lies deep beneath the surface. Pisa is built on a dense, soft subsoil, a marshy mix of clay, sand, and shells from the nearby Arno and Serchio rivers. Imagine trying to build a giant sandcastle on wet, squishy sand. It's not going to end well. The foundation of this massive 14,500-ton marble tower was only 3 meters deep. For a structure this tall and heavy, that's like an elephant trying to balance on tiptoes on a waterbed. It was simply not deep or stable enough to support the immense weight, because the soil wasn't uniform. One side of the foundation began to sink faster than the other. The ground on the south side was softer and more compressible, so as the weight of the tower pressed down, that side gave way, initiating the famous tilt. When construction resumed almost 100 years later, the engineers of the time noticed the lean and tried to compensate. Their solution: they made the new stories taller on the sinking side and shorter on the other. If you look closely at the tower today, you can actually see it has a slight curve, like a banana. They were trying to correct the lean by building upwards at an angle. But unfortunately, this creative fix only made things worse. Adding more weight to the already sinking structure just increased the pressure on the unstable foundation. The center of gravity shifted with each new level, and the tower continued to lean even more. It's a classic case of a well-intentioned solution having unintended consequences. They didn't have the geological knowledge or soil mechanics we have today. They were brilliant builders, but they were working with limited information about the ground they were building on. Construction finally finished in 1372, almost 200 years after it started, and for centuries, the tower just kept on leaning. It became a slow-motion drama watched by the whole world. Over the years, environmental factors also played their part. Fluctuations in the underground water table, seasonal weather changes, and even minor earthquakes in the region all contributed to the soil's instability, causing the lean to increase millimeter by millimeter, year after year. By the 20th century, the situation was critical. The tilt had reached a precarious 5.5 degrees. That might not sound like much, but at its peak, the top of the tower was hanging over 15 feet from where it should have been. Experts feared it was on the brink of collapse. The bells, 7 of them, each tuned to a note on the musical scale, had been silenced for decades out of fear their vibrations would worsen the lean or even shatter the tower. The question wasn't asterisk if asterisk it would fall, but asterisk when asterisk. This is where the story takes a turn from near disaster to an incredible feat of modern engineering. In 1990, the Tower of Pisa was closed to the public for the first time in 800 years. An international committee of engineers, architects, and historians was assembled to save it. They had 2 goals. Stabilize the tower, but don't straighten it completely. After all, a perfectly straight Tower of Pisa wouldn't be the Leaning Tower of Pisa, would it? Its famous flaw had become its identity. They tried several things. First, they attached 600 tons of lead weights to the base of the north side, the side opposite the Lenas, a temporary counterweight. Then, they looped massive steel cables around the 3rd story and anchored them to the ground, like a harness, to secure the structure while they worked underneath it. The most ingenious part of the solution was a technique called soil extraction. It was essentially microsurgery on the earth itself, using long corkscrew-like drills. Engineers carefully and slowly removed small amounts of soil from under the northern elevated side of the foundation. The idea was simple but brilliant. By removing soil from the high side, they could encourage the tower to settle back into the space they created, ever so slightly correcting its tilt. It was an incredibly delicate process that took years. They removed about 70 tons of soil in total, and it worked. Slowly but surely, the tower began to lean back towards the north. They were essentially steering the tower by manipulating the ground beneath it. The tilt was reduced by about 10%, bringing it back to where it was in the early 1800s, to a much safer angle of about 3.97 degrees. In 2001, after 11 years of work, the Leaning Tower of Pisa was declared stable and safe. It reopened to the public, and its bells rang out over the city once more. Engineers are confident that their fix will keep the tower standing for at least another 200 to 300 years. It's a remarkable turnaround. What began as a spectacular engineering failure in the Middle Ages has been transformed into a symbol of human resilience and ingenuity. The very mistake that threatened its existence is what made it famous, and the modern science that saved it ensured its legacy would continue. So, the next time you see a picture of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, you'll know the incredible story behind its tilt. It's not just a quirky building, it's a 200-year construction project, a centuries-long battle against gravity, and a masterpiece of both medieval architecture and 21st century engineering. It's a beautiful reminder that sometimes our greatest imperfections become our most defining features. Thanks so much for watching. What other famous landmarks do you want to learn about? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more adventures into the stories behind our world. See you in the next one.